Hello, my friends. Let's jump back into our lesson once again. In this part, we'll continue explaining Surah Al-Hadid, specifically verses 10 to 20. Let's begin. And why should you not spend in the cause of Allah, while Allah is the sole inheritor of the heavens and the earth? Those of you who donate and fought before the victory over Mecca are unparalleled. They are far greater in rank than those who donated and fought afterwards. Yet Allah has promised each a fine reward, and Allah is all aware of what you do. In verse 10 of Surah Al-Hadid, Allah asks why we would hold back from giving in His way when He promised great rewards for those who do. The verse honors those who believe and support Islam early on, before it became popular or powerful, by giving them a higher rank. Allah appreciates the sacrifice and dedication of early believers, reminding us that support given with sincerity and at a critical time is especially valued. This verse encourages us to give selflessness for Allah's sake, knowing that He is aware of the time and effort and sincerity behind our actions. Who is it that will lend to Allah a good loan, which Allah will multiply many times over for them, and they will have an honorable reward? Verse 11 emphasizes the value of giving in charity for the sake of Allah, reminding us that Allah rewards His generosity many times over. Even a single act of kindness and charity, when done sincerely for Allah, begins immense blessings. Allah is grateful and appreciates the selflessness shown by those who give from what they have. This verse encourages us to be charitable, knowing that Allah's rewards far surpass any worldly gain. Charity must be done with a sincere intention for the sake of Allah Almighty, without showing off, so that Allah may accept it and multiply it many times over. On that day you will see believing men and women with their light shining ahead of them on their right. They will be told, "Today you have good news of gardens under which rivers flow for you to stay in forever." This is truly the ultimate trump. In verse 12, Allah describes the reward for believers who sincerely follow His guidance. On the day of judgment, these believers will be surrounded by a radiant light that guides them to paradise. Gardens of paradise await them as a reward for their faith and good deeds. This verse, with its promise of a reward for our good deeds, should motivate us to do more good deeds, such as voluntary acts of worship. On that day, hypocrite men and women will beg the believers, "Wait for us so that we may have some of your light." It will be said mockingly, "Go back to the world and seek a light there." Then a separating wall with a gate will be erected between them. On the near side will be grace, and on the far side will be torment. Verse 13 warns of the separation between sincere believers and hypocrites on Judgment Day. Hypocrites will desperately wish for the light to guide them, but it will be denied because of their insincerity in this life. They will be left in the darkness they chose by not fully committing to their faith. Remember, my friends, true faith in Allah is shown through our deeds. The wall mentioned in this verse is the barrier between heaven and hellfire. This wall is also known as Al-Araf. The tormented will cry out to those graced, "Were we not with you?" They will reply, "Yes, you were, but you chose to be tempted by hypocrisy, eagerly awaited for a demise, doubted the truth, and were deluded by false hopes until Allah's decree of your death came to pass. So the chief deceiver deceived you about Allah." Verse 14 continues with the events that will happen on the Day of Judgment. The hypocrites will feel extreme regret and sorrow, calling out to the believers, saying, "Were we not with you in the worldly life, performing acts of worship like you? Did we not pray, give charity, and worship Allah Almighty just like you?" The believers will reply, "Yes, you were with us physically, but you destroyed yourselves with hypocrisy and disobedience. You wished death for the Prophet and disasters for the believers, and you doubted resurrection after death." It's important to always keep in mind that the acts of worship you will do will only benefit you if your beliefs are correct. These hypocrites prayed and gave charity, and yet because they plotted against Allah's messenger, and because they didn't quite believe that they would be resurrected after death for the Day of Judgment, their acts of worship did not benefit them, and they were not with the believers. Chief deceiver in this verse refers to Shaitan and every other deceiver. So today no ransom will be accepted for your hypocrites. nor from the disbelievers. Your home is the fire. It is the only fitting place for you. What an evil destination. Allah tells us in verse 15 that on the day of judgment, no one can change their fate. They cannot offer money to escape their punishment of hellfire. The destiny of the hypocrites and the disbelievers is hellfire. It's more fitting for them than any other place. Last line, what an evil destination, tells us that the worst consequence is hellfire. Has a time not come for believers' hearts to be humbled at the remembrance of Allah, what has been revealed of the truth, and not be like those given the scriptures before, those who were spoiled for so long that their hearts became hardened, and many of them are still rebellious. Verse 16 calls for believers to soften their hearts and respond sincerely to Allah's guidance. It warns us against becoming stubborn or unresponsive to Allah, as some communities did before. Their hearts hardened because of their sins and wrongdoings, and they lost their connection with Allah. This verse encourages us to follow Allah's words and do good deeds constantly so that our hearts do not harden towards Allah. Know that Allah receives the earth after its death. We have certainly made the signs clear for you, so perhaps you will understand. In this verse, Allah Almighty informs us that He is capable of reviving the earth after its death. An empty desert land can become a lush green garden filled with trees and blessings by the permission of Allah Almighty. Just as Allah can revive the earth after its death, He can resurrect our bodies on the day of judgment. Indeed, those men and women who give in charity and lend to Allah a good loan will have it multiplied for them, and they will have an honorable reward. Verse 18 tells us more about the importance of giving to charity. For anyone that gives money to charity for the sake of Allah Almighty, Allah will multiply the reward many times. This serves as a motivation and encouragement for us to donate our money for the sake of Allah. As for those who believe in Allah and His messengers, it is they who are truly the people of truth, and the mortals with their Lord, they will have the reward and their light. As for those who disbelieve and reject our signs, it is they who will be the residents of the hellfire. In verse 19, Allah honors those who believe in Him and His messengers, calling them truthful. These believers will have a great reward and guiding light. The disbelievers who decided to ignore Allah's signs of the truth will have an unfortunate end in hellfire. Know that this worldly life is no more than play, amusement, luxury, and mutual boasting and competition in wealth and children. This is like a rain that causes plants to grow to the delight of the planters, but later the plants dry up, and you see them wither, then they reduce to chaff. And in the hereafter there will be either severe punishment or forgiveness and pleasure of Allah, whereas the life of this world is no more than a delusion of enjoyment. In this noble verse, Allah Almighty warns people and tells them, indeed, the worldly life is temporary, filled with play, amusement, boosting about appearances, and multiplying with wealth and children. The admiration of the disbelievers for this temporary life is like the admiration of farmers for crops that grow with the rain, only to wither and become dry, yellow and pale after a while, despite being first lush and green. Allah Almighty warns us not to be deceived by this mortal life at the end of the verse, and states that the hereafter can be either severe punishment or forgiveness. This is a reminder to us to not focus too much on our life without working towards our afterlife. Now we have completed the second part of the explanation of Surah Al-Hadid, where we talked about verses 10 to 20. Now let's answer some questions.